I heard about the entire Hermione is Black debacle that is going on. And personally, I think it's all pointless. I'll admit, in my head, I always saw Hermione as being a white girl. That's just me. That's what I envisioned. However, even if she came out as black, as J.K. Rowling said, well, she had frizzy hair, brown eyes, and was very smart, and that was about it. So if she's black, well, that's just fine. Well, even so, the issue, to me, isn't so much that she's black. It's just that it's breaking tradition. And what I mean by that is, the Harry Potter movies, Hermione was white throughout all of them. And you can say, well, yeah, well, that's the movies and not the book, but no, you don't get it. People have already associated such and such character as being this race. So, when you go and change it, yeah, people are going to go and notice. It's like having a blue car, and then the next day it's red all of a sudden. It's the same car, just a different paint job, but it's still going to go and strike you as something's not right here. But even so, I have to admit, the entire Hermione being black thing, that's just really more of viral marketing than it is anything else. Ditto for the Dumbledore being gay thing. I mean, okay, Dumbledore's gay. Who cares? It don't even really matter. It's a non-issue. In terms of storytelling, why is this important? Why does someone's sexual orientation have to be that important? Then again, why does someone's skin color have to be so important? Wouldn't it be more important to be concerned about the character as a whole than it is that what type of skin tone they may have? And while this here is true, again, and I am speaking for myself when I say this, I am more of a purist than anything else. Once something has been done, this is how I kind of see it from then on. It's kind of like Ghostbusters, they're swapping everyone out with girls. Okay, go right ahead. I think it's really dumb, stupid, pointless, and it's just a way to sell more movie tickets, but you can do that. I just still think it's pretty damn stupid. And you can go and say, well, the other Ghostbusters were all guys, so this balances out. So this balances it out. No, it doesn't. Sure, they're all women now, but how is this going to affect the story? In fact, more to the point, if they were all guys, what would be different? If nothing, then why did you go and suddenly change everything and put them as female? What's the point to it? You can sit and say, well, it's good for diversity, but okay, then can't we just make another franchise? For example, another Charlie's Angels or something similar to it, where the entire cast is female? Can't we do that? Wouldn't that be just as easy? Come up with something actually whole cloth instead of saying that it's now a Miss Male character. Pac-Woman for those who need an easy example. But even so, speaking of Charlie's Angels, what would happen if we went and took that franchise and recast it as all guys? Wouldn't people go and lose their mind? Isn't that kind of a double standard as well? Why would somebody go and get all upset because Charlie's Angels is now male instead of female? After all, if we go and make the argument that, hey, skin color and gender don't matter, then when it's done the other way around, that should be okay, should it not? But even so, moving on down the list, we seem to have resistance when it's done the other way. Again, Thor. The main issue with that one was that Thor is traditionally a guy. Just like Doctor Who is traditionally a guy. To be more specific, a British guy. Well, okay. You can say, well, breaking from tradition is a good thing, and I kind of agree and disagree with that. But even so, what's the point to it? Sure, you're breaking away from tradition, but why? How does this affect anything? Also, Silent Hill. This one kind of strikes close to home to me because I'm a big Silent Hill fan. But what they went and did with the first movie was they basically went and took the male character and replaced it with a woman. And what burns me up so bad is the guy who made the decision, he went and said that, well, when you go and hear this story, it sounds a lot like something a woman would do rather than a man. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But the point of it is it really that hard to believe that a guy would put his life on the line to rescue his adopted daughter? Why did we have to make this change in the first place? Isn't this actually insulting towards men by saying, oh no, you're a man? There is no way, it's not believable, that a man would actually go through hell and back for his children. No, we gotta break that out entirely and put a woman in it because, strong independent women, yay! Hooray for pointless tokenism. Still, what of the Dark Tower? From what I remember, they're actually going to take the main lead of it, the gunslinger and all, and actually put him as a black guy. Now, the only problem with this here is, unlike Hermione, the main character in the Dark Tower series, he's white. And we know that he's white because the black woman with the with the split personality ends up calling him, a white honky motherfucker numerous times throughout the book. Well, okay, so what are we going to do when it comes to that scene? Are we going to just write it out entirely, or are we going to go and recast the black woman as being white? And if we're actually going to do that, isn't that creating its own problems? Again, I'm all for changes if they make sense. However, this seems to be more like trying to go and get as much free advertisement as possible. That's what's bothering me about it. It's changed just for the sake of controversy. But moving on, I've actually heard other stuff like Peter Pan. I remember having a book read on, I think, Reading Rainbow or something, and what happened was the girl, she was from a black family, and she wanted to play Peter Pan. And what was brought up was that, well, she can't do it because Peter Pan's a boy. And not only that, and her mother's response to that was, well, that just shows what they know. And then they said, well, not only that there, but Peter Pan was white. And that angered one of the girl's family members, but her mother said, yeah, well, that just shows what they know. And of course, the girl goes on stage, everything goes without a hitch, that's all really nice and everything, and I'm like, well, it's a kid's play, let things go for what they are. But again, it's kind of like, I get the message that, but still, even if you don't have to stick to tradition, just making changes for no point at all doesn't even make any sense. More, also, the only time that I can think of where it was done well was during the Wizard of Oz thing and all, where the entire cast was black. And I admit I enjoyed it for what it was. It was campy as all hell, but it was fun to watch. What happened is, Dorothy, because, again, we're going with change, wasn't a little girl from Kansas. She was actually an adult black woman living at her parents' house. Well, okay, even so, changes were made here and there, but that was actually something done right. Just because that the way everyone was acting and the way they behaved, you could actually see a black person acting something like this. And I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean it in a positive way before anyone goes and starts to leave any nasty comments in the comment section. But going along the point of pointlessness, one of the things that I have heard was the entire love intolerance unless she's white from the My Little Pony fandom, and the entire debacle over that was some people actually thought Twilight was black, and me personally, I don't see it. Again, I'm a white guy, so this is why I see her as being white, because that's my own race. I know, how about that? People tend to juxtapose their experiences onto others when given no reference. How about that? But even so, someone said, well, she could go and be white and all, she could be Asian. That makes sense too. She's, nothing but a bookworm, studies a lot, and so Asian actually makes pretty good sense. Now, of course, I'm not saying she can't be black or any other color. I'm just saying that it really does not make any sense to me on why you want to argue over it. If she's black to you, that's nice. That's fine. However, if you're going to say, oh, she's black and no one agrees with me, they are so racist, how terrible that nobody sees things as I do. The problem is clearly on them, and they're just all being a bunch of oppressive shitlords. You gotta be kidding me. This would be like if I went and took Zecora, who's a zebra, and made her a white character. I mean, I can make the argument that she's white because there's actually white people living in Africa. However, if I did that, people would look at me and be like, oh, you're a racist. Okay, that don't even make any sense. This character, if you don't think she's black, you're a racist, and this character, if you think she's white, you're a racist. Can anyone explain to me the logic behind this? It's like we're throwing out words that don't really mean anything, and we're just expecting the person is dumb enough to actually take the bait and shut up. But still, again, as I've said earlier in this argument, I really don't believe race and color matter unless you can go and do it right. And, for example, let's take X-Men, for example. What about Storm? She's a black woman. What if we made her a white man? Can we do this? I mean, yeah, we can, but why would you? How would that affect anything? It would be pointless. It would be silly. It would make no sense. What about Ghost Dad? You remember that old Bill Cosby movie? Well, get this. What if we just took out the entire black family and replaced it with a white one? Sure, we could go and make another movie just like it, but nothing would have changed, really. The main plot has nothing to do with race, and it just has to do with their dad, who is now a ghost and wants to go and try and be alive again, I guess. But even so, ignoring this, what about Snakes on a Plane? Can we go and take Samuel L. Jackson and take this motherfucking African American and get him off this motherfucking movie set and instead replace him with a motherfucking white honky ass cracker instead? Yeah, again, we could do that, but why? The way Samuel L. Jackson acted in that movie was clearly a black guy. Now, a white guy could go and say the same things, but it would be cringeworthy. You'd have to change the lines. So in this case, having a black guy in that role actually makes sense. In fact, going more to the point, would you really want to see another Snakes on the Plane movie without Samuel L. Jackson in it? My point exactly. But even so, let's go a little extreme here, okay? And what I mean by this is, let's not limit ourselves to fantasy. Let's go right straight into reality. You know what I'm going for, don't you? MLK. Martin Luther King. Okay, what the guy said was pretty much true. I dream of a day where my kids are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, well, what's wrong with that? I support it. I believe that I shouldn't be judged as a white person. I should actually be judged on my own actions, words, and merit. Same thing if you're a black person or an Asian person or a Native American or whatever you may be. The point of it is, this is a good thing to go and have said. Well, okay, if this is such a good thing, then ask me this one question. Why can't we go and make Martin Luther King white? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with making a black guy white? After all, his skin color isn't important, right? What's important is the message he has to deliver. Well, okay then. So if you don't go and like white Martin Luther King, then aren't you being racist? Aren't you judging them by the color of their skin and not by the content of their character? Well, okay. And I know what some of you are thinking, oh, but Odio, that's not right. Martin Luther King has already been established to be a black guy. That's already been historically proven. Why would you want to change it when there's no reason to do it? And, okay. So, go back to the other examples that I went and listed throughout the video. And all these changes, what was the point to it? Was there any point to it? Wasn't it just to go and say, "Woo! Look at me, I'm being diverse, woo!" Beyond doing that, what was the point? It didn't change nothing, and it's all still pretty much what it is. Even so, the only problem is, for people like me, I prefer to keep things the same. This is part of having Asperger's. Not a real big fan of change. I can handle it to some degree, but as long as there's a point, a rhyme, and a reason. Unfortunately, there is none in this. None at all. And far as I'm concerned, there's really no reason to go and have any of this taking place. If you want to go and have something that has an all-female cast or an all-black cast, that's great. Please, make it from whole cloth. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying that women or blacks can't be this or that or whatever else. They can be whatever they want. I'm saying do something original. Quit trying to take out someone who's white or someone who's male just so you can go and say, "Oh, we're being diverse." Yeah, well, again, if I did it the other way around, if I took black characters out of a movie and replaced them with white, and I took female characters out of whatever and replaced it with a guy, no one would be happy with it. They'd all be saying it's racist and it's sexist. Yet again, when it's done the other way around, if you go and complain about it, then you're the one who's racist and sexist because, oh no, you hate all black people or you hate all women. And no, it isn't. It's just that change has to serve a function. If you're going to change something, at least have it make sense. Not just to be doing whatever.